Following the fatal Londiani accident, the Cabinet Secretary in charge of Transport and Infrastructure, Mr. Kipchumba Murkomen, has issued a number of directives geared towards enhancing road safety measures in our urban transport. So let's unpack some of those directives and see whether they're really feasible and they're going to bring the much needed reforms in the safety of our urban transport. That, of course, is our conversation today on yet another interesting and insightful edition of Business Glide, your go-to point on matters public policy, business and economics at large, hosted by yours truly, Richard Mwanjo. Indeed, always a pleasure to have you on board. Now with me to unpack this conversation is none other than East Africa's renowned public scholar and Kenya's most sought after political analyst, the first of his name, Herman Manyora.
Yes.
How are you, sir?
Good.
You are caving in your couch. Is it chilly that much?
No. We are strong people.
Really?
We are village boys. We went to school almost naked.
Almost naked. Yet you have two sweaters on.
Which were they? This is just a small jacket. Very light.
All right. Actually, sir, we are starting the week on a kind of somber mood.
My condolences to
yeah.
families of those who lost loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
We wish speedy recovery to those
who sustained injuries.
Injured at home.
Mm-hmm.
We ask God to be with them.
All right.
And the communities that have been affected.
Very well.
So that they may deal with the trauma and heal. Because this is, the proportion itself is just bad.
It is very bad. Oh yeah, and that is indeed right. We here as Nairobi Review extend our sympathies to all those affected, the families, the friends, and all those who might have been shocked by the incident that happened. We pray that their souls may lie in eternal rest. So, sir, straight into today's conversation, and we are looking at about road safety following the fatal accident at Londiani. And let's start from a general standpoint of, we've seen accidents happen in Kenya, fatal accidents, but then it is just after they have happened that we see really stern directives coming from the side of government. It is not the first time we've had such issues at Sachangwan, Salga. And I take concern with this. Can we as a government not be proactive enough, or we have to wait until accidents happen that we come with stern warnings? You see,
the problem with this country is simple. We have normalized things like death. We made death on our roads look like a very normal thing. It's nothing. It's like breathing air. In fact, if you appear to be thinking hard on this, you look like you are abnormal. Because we have normalized very bad things in this country. It's normal. It's nothing.
Michuki directed us to a better place.
Secondly, as part of the problem in this country is the lack of seriousness with anything we do. Why? The only thing Kenyans do when they are in positions is to cut deals, is to make billions. There's no time left for anything else. And that's why, in the past very 2 or so months, how many Kenyans have died, including our students on the road? How many Kenyans? How many Kenyans have died in the past 2-3 months? The statistics are startling.
Very worrying.
And yet, it doesn't, it's just normal. That Michuki brought a difference. And that brings me to what I've been trying to say. Because we must admit that money is everything to us. Before God touches us and He teaches us that money is nothing, it's just a means of exchange. Money is just a means of exchange.
A means of exchange.
But we are giving it some meaning. Maybe God will help us to see that money is not what we think it is. But before that, let us allow those people who want to make money go on and cut deals and make money.
At the altar of people's lives?
So now that's where I'm heading. For that reason, let us separate the transport ministry from infrastructure. Give Murkomen infrastructure, where all the money is. If they want to make money, let them make. Let them put on the best suits they want and the most expensive watches. Let them cut all the deals they want to cut in road construction.
Yeah.
But give somebody the transport section to be able to think about road safety. to bring sanity to our roads, so that we don't lose Kenyans senselessly, that because the minister in charge is more focused on the infrastructure side than the transport side. So I plead with the president, please separate this ministry. Give those who want to make money and cut deals, leave them with infrastructure development. Give transport to an ordinary Kenyan who can bring sanity on our roads, like Michuki. Just look around for a man or a woman who can be, even if he's half as good as Manyora, give him, let him deal with sanity on our roads. Because, surely, Richard,
true,
do we seem to care that our people are dying on the roads?
Not quite. But then there are those...
Drunk driving, matatus careless, everybody is using it. When you are driving from here, I remember tweeting when Murkomen was just new in the ministry. I was going to Embu. Was it Embu or where? Some of those places.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm witnessing madness on our roads. These Mira people, the Pro Box. The guy is like he has taken a huge stone and put on the gas pedal, accelerator. Amechukua mawe ameweka kwa mafuta, imekanyaga mafuta. Akanyagi na mguu, amewekelea mawe. Kaende. 9x9, kaende. People are running away and jumping from the road like, ask Murkomen. You can't knock sense into such a small thing. Look at this useless thing that are going on our roads. You know these are drunk drivers. You can see them, they are drunk. They are on drugs. You go to all stages in Nairobi here. Kuna mahali ya squad. If you are coming from Otiende, around this Langata, there's a primary school, Uhuru Garden Primary School. There is a petrol site, we used to call it ESO, then it became Mobile, I think it's Oil Libya. That is where the squad people leave the vehicle. They get the vehicle from Otiende to there.
Other people take it.
If you go to Ngong, from Ngong to Bulbul, and Bulbul, or a place called Veterinary, Vet. All those places are known, where people who don't have license, who are trying to drive for the first time, who are with red eyes, take the vehicle. You can't even know. You know, it's a question of talking to the Matatu people and telling them this is about human life. It cannot be that you have a vehicle carrying 30 people and you are using to learn driving.
Very well.
So in other words, to sum up, it is painful that human life doesn't seem to mean anything to us as a people.
Very well.
We must move from there. And I want to repeat, anybody listening to me, ask the president to separate transport from infrastructure.
Skeptics to that argument would say we are trying to tame him down on the wage bill that is to fund the executive.
Which
we
one?
are trying to narrow down the executive.
How?
Now instead of increasing another CS in charge of
it's just reorganization. It's just reorganized. These are just government departments. You can reorganize them. You don't need to add a ministry. You don't have to. It's just reorganizing.
Or give it to a CAS. To a chief administrative secretary.
No, I'm not saying that. You create a ministry in charge of transport.
Oh yeah.
And leave the other ministry where the money is with people who want money.
They become parallel ones.
Wacha hawa wafanya mambo yao ya pesa.
Very well.
Contracts, tender, nini, billions, sawa. Let them get. God will touch them one day. But let a man or a woman with a human heart take care of the transport. That we do not lose our people senselessly on our roads.
Very well. Before we unpack some of the directives therein, one of our followers, Nancy Mwirosi, says, every political leader should be mandated to drive and not use choppers so that they can be inspired to fix the roads menace. Do you agree with that argument?
It's true. It's true. You know, we need to create things we can use. But because our leaders don't take their children to our schools, they don't care what our schools look like.
They don't?
Yeah, they don't go to our hospital, so they don't care what our hospital look for. But when you are getting involved in an accident somewhere in Kericho, you are like that governor who died from Nyeri. That's the time you realize if there was a good hospital, they could do first aid as the chopper comes to pick you to bring you to Nairobi Hospital or Aga Khan, or fly you out of the country to South Africa.
Or Rafael Tuju the other time.
Yeah. So you need these things in place. You need roads that are good. Okay?
Very well.
Yeah.
Top of the directives being issued that have been issued by the CS is among them the county transport safety committees in all the 47 counties to immediately embark on road safety education and awareness programs for traders, pedestrians, school children, and border operators. Do we start from the education's point of it, or we really fix the mess, the bigger mess?
Fixing the mess is, I've even alluded to it earlier, I've mentioned that the stakeholders need to understand. Yeah. They need to understand why we need order on our roads. The meaning of the road safety. The meaning of obeying
traffic rules.
They need to understand. Maybe you think they know, they don't know. They need to know and the consequences. After that, you begin to reinforce. You begin to enforce, rather. You begin to ensure that people do what they are supposed to do. You begin by removing all bumps from the roads. And we tell people, you can even see there are schools here. You can even see this is a market. And that's why we have said 50. As a human being, you need to understand. When you get here, it is 50. And arrest those who are not doing 50. And then the consequences will be so bad that nobody will do it.
Very well.
Yeah.
Part of the directive, the top one that is to take immediate effect immediately, rather I should say, is that all markets along the road reserve should be relocated. County governments in partnership with the national government through the intergovernmental framework should construct market of the highways, even as Kenya constructs access roads to the markets. We are looking at every urban center, you'll find people just right there off the road. So do you think relocating these markets is an opportunity that we should really tap into? Again,
these are people who are just talking from their lofty offices in their expensive suits. They don't understand the country. Let's say that Leondian place. Why are those markets, why are those people there? Because that's where the customer is. Who is going to, who will leave the road to go and go 5 kilometers inside?
Do that off the highways. That's the directive.
It must be planning. It's not a knee-jerk
reaction.
We must be planning. You build a bypass, eastern bypass. It's supposed to be a bypass, but then you allow all manner of things along the road. So how is it a bypass anymore?
Not quite.
Because people are going those bars, those supermarkets. You have supermarkets on the road. I don't know whether you get what I'm saying.
I get it.
Eh?
I get it.
You get what I'm saying?
True.
So it's a question of planning. It's a question of knowing the women who sell on the road are coming where the customer is. They know very well it is not easy for the customer to go and look for them. People have been asking, why are hawkers in Nairobi? Murkomen should also ask himself.
True.
How many times have we relocated hawkers ever since I was a young man?
We've been doing that perennially.
Yeah. But they come back. Why? Because that's where the customer is. So you need a whole game change. You need to change the game.
Paradigm shift.
There must be a paradigm shift. How do we now work in such a way Kenyans go where goods are instead of goods coming where Kenyans are? How does the customer go and look for goods in a market instead of the market coming on the road? It's not something over which you can issue a cheap directive.
Very well.
It won't work. What will they sell where you are taking them? Who will go there? Look, I invite Murko man. If he can spare some little time, I know he doesn't have time. He's a busy Kenyan.
Very busy.
What he's doing is another story, but he's busy. I invite him to look at the Uhuru Kenyatta stimulus packet, those markets. Is anybody using them?
Not here to take off.
Are they being used?
They are very vacant.
Why?
Go there, Timboroa, you'll find one.
Yeah. The people are back where? Go on when you are going to Nyeri, Karatina, near Sagana, or after Sagana. What are we talking about? It is how we have wired ourselves. This is how we organize ourselves. We must therefore change in a very fundamental way.
All right.
I've given you that very simple example.
Very well.
The seller goes where the market is. The seller goes where the customer is. We have to change and have a country where people go for the seller and what they are selling.
Very well.
You get it? In some countries, shopping is something people do once in a week. So you enter your car or whatever means of transport and then now go. You go for the shopping. Because again, even supermarkets are not supposed to be on the road. Whenever you see a traffic jam on Gong Road, whatever, Juja Road, wherever you see a big traffic jam, check those spots. There will always be a utility center around it. There will be a supermarket, for example, or a church right on the road. So when service is going on, there will be a huge jam because people are entering the church, driving in and out. People are entering the supermarket. I don't know what I'm saying. So it calls for big planning. But there's nothing wrong with temporal measures, but they had better be reasonable. Reasonable. You sit down with the traders and work out something. You don't issue a decree from your office. You don't say, watoke barabarani, waende wajengewe mahali 5-10 kilometers. That is now an opportunity for people to make money. The people to construct that road will make money.
Cashing in on disasters.
Yes. There are people putting up those cheap markets. It will be something very useless. But it will cost millions of shillings. And it will not be utilized by anybody. Because the traders will still come back on the road. Because that's where the customer is. So it calls for much more serious thinking. But as a temporal measure, you sit down with them and agree this is no longer sustainable. You running with your bananas and your maize to the roads is even risky. Even before a trailer loses whatever. What do you do?
Or frying fish next to the road.
So what do you think we need to do? Together you can work out something temporal. But for future there's need for serious planning. As an immediate measure, you sit down with them, work out something. You don't issue a directive from Nairobi.
Very well. Yes. Or on ground, on site.
On site and talk with them. They can give you solutions.
Very well.
Yeah.
Very well. Before we actually conclude, I mean, you are somewhat a globetrotter. You've gone to different parts of the world and see how systems are working. And particularly that on disaster response management. We've seen in every devolved unit there is a disaster response department. But oftentimes, even in the Londiani case, you find really late response, and even when there is response, probably it comes from those organizations that are donor funded, Red Cross and John's Ambulance, and you look around and you wait, where is the county government in here? It takes so much time before they're even on the scene or even to work up on solutions for those affected. What do you think is the issue with our disaster management as a country? Yet we actually allocate so much in terms of budgetary allocations to those units.
There is no capacity. We can hardly manage a simple disaster. Look at Londiani. It was just a question of cement piled down and maybe people are so we are doing badly. We have not built capacities. We need to build capacities.
Airlifting and all that.
Yeah, we need to have capacities. You can see the kind of work, for example, just to digress a bit, but a good example. You can see what the is it Reke Squad? Is it called Reke Squad?
Reke, yeah.
You know, I was shocked that they don't even have a helicopter of their own. They are relying on the general police helicopter.
True.
And for Garissa, it was so sad because the helicopter had gone for some mission we can't even mention. You would be shocked. You will further be shocked. They are just a handful. One would have thought would have disaster or rapid deployment units. Stations across the country.
Everywhere.
Everywhere. You have one in Western region. At the very worst, you can combine Kisumu and Western.
True.
And have them have like 3 helicopters. Okay? But they don't even have a helicopter of their own. I was so shocked.
Can we afford that as a country?
What do you mean?
Oftentimes we decry low budgetary, capacity.
In a country where mandazi and the tea cost 8 million at State House per day.
No more Gikomba fires, we can actually...
Sasa kama kwa ofisi ya rais wanatumia milioni 8 kwa chai na mandazi, you are saying we cannot afford a helicopter of 400 million. And we are looking for just about 10,
Or
which is 4 billion. You're saying we cannot afford 10 billion to equip a rapid deployment unit of the police stationed across the country. I'm just giving you an example.
Yeah.
So equally, what equipment do we have for disaster management? What training have we offered people for disaster management? This is the consequence of a country that takes nothing seriously.
You wait for donor
The
support.
consequence of a country that reserves all its energy, directs all its energy at money making, but not thinking about the country. You know, so nobody thinks. When building collapses today, 3, 4, 5 days, we are still trying to go through the rubble and people are inside.
In the face of humanitarian aid organizations, what do you think they make of us as a nation in times of calamities?
I've talked to them. Many people talk to me. They are surprised that we behave like that.
Yet they generously fund us.
When the Red Cross is on site, you can see they have very limited resources, but look at what they are doing. The country ought to do 100 times more than the Red Cross is doing, but it's the other way around.
Despicable.
And look at the Red Cross. Not that they have a lot of resources. You can't compare their resources with what government would have. But look at what they end up doing. They take over everything. If there's a disaster of fire, it is them who manage everything. But the government is just there looking.
Yeah. Addressing press conferences.
And
Yeah.
And if there's some money to be spent, then it is time for people to put things in their pocket. It's bad.
Very well, despicable situation definitely there in for us as a country.
But remember, before we leave, I've said about transport and infrastructure. I watched Murkomen addressing the people at Londiani. With the bodies still being looked, still looking for bodies, dead, injured people in the rubble, in the mess, with people trying to identify their loved ones in the mortuary. The thing was still live at Londiani. I saw him on top of a car, the rooftop of a car, addressing people like a public rally. I said, God. But wait until I say what I want to say. Within minutes, he was off in a helicopter to go and attend some function, some merry-making function. That is the kind of country you have, where the CS in charge visits a place, addresses people from the top of a car like a political rally, hops onto a helicopter, goes for merry-making in the name of homecoming. That is the kind of country you have. Then you have to ask yourself, where did we lose it? Where did we lose it? The answer is there was a country. We don't have a country. Imagine the minister in charge of transport goes to the scene when it is live. 52 people dead, confirmed. Several others injured. Other people still searching maybe their bodies or people trapped. On the helicopter, joins everybody else, the whole government, to make merry. Goats slaughtered, cows slaughtered, wine flowing, milk flowing.
Thanksgiving ceremony.
What kind of country is this? We've lost it.
If Michuku was to be back for just a day, do you think he'll be proud of us as a country?
He will cry. He'll go back to the grave. He did so much to bring sanity on our roads. So much. That's why people still remember Michuki. We need a Michuki to take care of our roads.
Very well, there you have it. We need a Michuki and even a big and better one at it, so that we really look into road safety measures and also just spearheading reforms in the urban transport sector. Of course, we still extend our sympathies to all those who lost their loved ones in the Londiani accident, and also a clarion call for the government to really address the matter with the much needed critical thinking and not just the usual quick fixes that we've always seen over time. Until next time on Business Glide, I'm yours truly, Richard Mwenju. Always a pleasure to have you on board.